So while I was actually preparing the class, I went through, I thought I would actually talk about the NPTEL privacy policy also. Unfortunately, there is no privacy policy on NPTEL, but there is a privacy policy on SWIAM, terms and services on SWIAM website. But there's no privacy policy on NPTEL website for now. I'm just flagging it. I think it's an interesting discussion, right? We should have as part of the class about the privacy policy on NPTEL also. So I picked up a few services. Quickly, we can look at it. We don't have to go through details as we saw in the other services, which is Amazon, Swiggy, more sort of say popular apps popular solutions, services that we actually use. This is Amazon, and also this would also give you a sense of how detailed some of these policies are. This is updated. We saw the Twitter one saying August 19, 2021. This says October 21, 2020. So this talks about, and then I'm looking at only Amazon.in privacy notice. So the details that they have is what personal information about customers does Amazon collect? For what purposes does Amazon use your personal information? What about cookies and other identifiers? And again, think about it, right? So all of this is informing us about how these companies are actually using the information. I think it will be super helpful if you go at least read the privacy policy in detail. Go through all the privacy policies of, let's take 5 of the most popular websites that you use. Let's take if you're more into e-commerce purchases, you should go read the services of Flipkarts and Amazons from where you buy. And then bring it back to the class. I think it's not about just reading it, right? Please bring it back to the class. If there's anything that you find interesting, if it's reinforcing something that we are seeing in the class, or if there is some contradictions on these privacy policies also. Does Amazon share personal information? How secure is information about me? What about advertising? What information can I access? What choices do I have? Are children allowed to use in Amazon services? Look, I think the children is coming back again. Conditions of use, notice and revisions, related practices and information, examples of information collected. Right. So again, the policy is very much in line with the kind of Twitter policy that we saw, right? Information you give us, information that they collect, information that they collect from other sources for their services. Automatic information. We automatically collect and store certain types of information about your use of Amazon services, including information about your interactions with content and services available through Amazon services. Cookies, right? Cookies is something we need to understand a bit more. We use cookies and other unique identifiers, and we obtain certain types of information when your browser or device access Amazon services and other content served by or on behalf of Amazon on other websites. Another thing that you want to keep in, I'm sure you've realized it as I read the privacy policy, they're all very long sentences, right? They're all very long sentence, and sometimes you need to process it twice to understand what they're trying to say, right? Which is something we'll see in a few minutes. Why it is interesting. We might receive information about you from other sources such as updated delivery and address information from our carriers, which we use to correct our records and deliver your next purchase more easily. So these are details that I'm sure you understand. So for what purposes does Amazon use your personal information? Purchase and delivery, provide and troubleshoot, provide voice images and camera services, comply with legal obligations, communicate with you, advertising, fraud preventions, and credit risks. What about cookies? To enable so I think cookies is something that all of these services use to enable personalization, to help them make choices, recommendations for books, all of that. Books or purchases, so to say. Does Amazon share your personal information? Transactions involving third parties, we make available to you services, products, applications, or skills provided by third parties for use on or through Amazon services. For example, the products you order through our marketplace are from third parties. You can download applications from third-party application providers from our App Store and enable third-party skills through our Alexa services. So it's essentially saying how the third-party information is being collected. Again, my intent here is not to go through all the entire policy. What about advertising? What information can I access? What choices do I have? Children, right? So that's Amazon's policy. I'm sure by now you've realized that some of these things, when you read them, you get a sense that these companies are also putting in a lot of efforts in creating these policies and telling us what they are actually doing, right? At least telling us to an extent possible that how they are doing the business, how the information is being used, shared, and all of that, which is pretty good, right? I think that's why it'll be interesting actually to study here, to go look at the prior versions of the privacy policy and see what changes happen. And are these changes actually an effect of something that's happening in a real world, right? Some case lawsuit is done against Amazon, and the policies gets changed. That's Amazon. Swiggy. I'm guessing that these are services that you probably are using, and it is and also they are one of the popular apps that you use. So look at the privacy policy of Swiggy. It's not as long as Amazon, but it kind of addresses some of the general FTCs and OECD guidelines. Links to other websites, information we collect from you, device information, in order to improve your app experiences and lend stability to our services to you. We may collect information or employ third-party plugins that collect information about the devices you use to access our services, including the hardware models, operating systems, and versions, software, file names, and versions, all that. Interestingly, if you look at this, right, it also says that improve your app experience and lend stability to our services, we may collect, right? So, yeah, so I think the may is an interesting word that they have kept it there, right? Cookies, our Swiggy platform and third parties with whom we partner may use cookies again a may here. Right? So here they've spent a lot of so to say explanation about the cookies that they use and details about that. We use information we collect for the following purposes, including to provide, personalize, maintain, and improve our products and services, such as to enable deliveries and other services, enable features, to personalize your Swiggy account. Disclosure and distribution of your information with service providers. We may share your information with our vendors, consultants, marketing partners, research firms, and other service providers or business partners, such as payment processing companies, to support our business. Right. So again, this third-party sharing is also very common across all the services. For crime prevention and investigation, for internal use with advertisers, data security precautions, opt out. Right. So that's the Swiggy's privacy policy. Similarly, I kept a link for Zomato and Uber and Ola. Take a look at it, and Netflix. I think these are. At least I thought that these are policies that platforms that you may be using regularly. I use some of them very regularly, so therefore I was also interested in looking at these policies closely, taking a good read at it. particularly the Facebooks and Twitters for sure. Right? So that's the privacy policy. Now I think let's ask this question. This is a interesting, that's why I said earlier, keep watch for this topic of how difficult it is to read the policy, how much time it is taking for us to understand the length of the sentences, all that, right? I flagged it when I was doing it. So here is a research that was done, which is to say that, look, if we have to get US citizens to read the privacy policy, right, at least some of the privacy policies in every given year, at least one service that they are reading, using, for example, Uber privacy policy at least once in a year, how much time, resources, money would it cost for the entire US? Right, so that's what this research was done. It's a very interesting research in the context of this privacy policy. Let's take a look at, right, so that's the paper. I think the link of the paper is in the slides, but otherwise it's easy to find this paper. Right. So the question that I wanted to pose to you as we proceed in doing the understanding the paper also, if you see, this actually was done as a study in the US. The study was done in the US, and if the study was to be done in India, how will we be able to do it? What all information do we need? It'll be nice for you to think about it, and we can discuss it as part of the mailing list in the class. Right? So please think about, after we are done, please think about how you can actually evaluate the cost of reading privacy policy in India. Even cost of reading privacy policy for yourself, I think. If you can think of methods to find that, that will be super nice. Right, so this one, we posed the question. So the question that was that they had in mind was, if websites users were to read the privacy policy for each site they visit just once a year, what would their time be worth? Right, so that's what the question was. Interesting question, right? So I think the motivation for this question is also interesting, because what did we see until now? FTC, OECD, all of them kept saying that, oh, we should actually have these kind of policies, and if we expect the user to read the privacy policy, then I think there is something we have to understand. If we make them to read, would it be good? Would it be, how much would it cost? Return of investment, right? If you're making somebody to do something, is it worth it, right? Compared to sort of say value here, Alicia was interested in figuring out what the total cost of the reading would be. And then they concluded that if you get the people to do what read the privacy policy, it would cost US $781 billion per year. That's a question, right? If you get people to read, or you want all of them to read the privacy policy, if they read, it's going to cost $781 billion. Do we really want to spend that much money in getting people to read the privacy policy? So if you've seen again, Mark Zuckerberg's interactions in the Congress, you would connect this self-regulation where there was a question to him about will Facebook participate in self-regulating in terms of controlling the information of the users. I'll let you to read the paper in detail, but what all I want, meaning I'm going to share the annotated papers also with all of you as part of the website that I would have for the course. We will upload these annotated papers also. But for you to understand the decision, how to come up with the cost, what all do we need? We need basically to understand how much time it's going to take for somebody to read the privacy policy, right? Some number of lines, number of pages, all that. Then we also need to know the cost of the person, right? For example, you want to know the cost of me reading a privacy policy versus a student reading a privacy policy. The cost for me may be higher than the cost of the student, right? Just the value of time, nothing other than that, right? And it also, so you need that. And the difficulty of, so they in this research, they also showed that the difficulty of reading the privacy policy is high. A certain level of language understanding, certain level of cognition is needed to understand the privacy policy, right? For somebody to have X level of education and understanding, for them to read a privacy policy, which would be, let's take 10 minutes, 15 minutes to read one privacy policy for one website that you're accessing. If you were to do X number of websites, services in a year, how much would that cost? That's what they ended up actually doing. I'll show you some of the tables which would help you to understand. So this one, if you see, time to read the entire privacy policies for average readers, which is short policy. They classified this into short policy, medium policy, and a long policy, right? So this is 2,000 words, 2,500 words, 3,000 words. This is words per minute. So this is time to read one policy is about 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and 12 minutes. So I can clearly see this, right? The long policy could be the Facebook type one. Short policies could be the Swiggy types one that we saw. Right. So 8 minutes per policy for a Swiggy. And then this one, time estimates to skim one policy and answer basic questions. So that's about reading, right? So this is about measured time to skim the privacy policy. I'm not really reading it. For example, this part of sections that I did, right? I'm not really reading the paper here. But if you just want to skim, does this policy allow Acme to put you on an email marketing list? And does the website use cookies? Highlighted, you're just skimming through what it means. That's about 3.6 minutes. And why do you need it? Again, the numbers that you can evaluate could be that, oh, if you make somebody to read all the privacy policy, entire policy, what would it cost? If you make them only to skim it, what would it cost? And this is to give some sense of what are the number of websites that somebody could access, right? Because for the total number per year for a user, you need that also. So this is about the locations where people read privacy policies. Just at work is about 52. Work and home is about 66. And at home is about 119 web services. Again, all of this is just estimate, right? There's no... I mean, I'm sure if the study was to be done again now, the number may be different, right? Either the policy may have changed or the reading speed may have changed in people in the last 10, 12 years. The cost of the people reading them, policy and understanding may have changed. All those changes would have happened. Right, so this is just the same details about annual websites. Estimates the annual number of unique websites visited in the US. Again, total number of websites, lower upper bound. Opportunity cost, this is where the cost is getting covered, which is the way that they calculate it is home estimates for values of time to read online privacy policy. Home is $4.4 per hour. Work is $35.86 per hour. Again, using some literature, some approximations, some estimations, they arrived at this number. Right? So if you put all of this together, which is the cost of reading, number of websites they are going to access, you'll get the cost. That's what they did here. Right. So that means they arrive at this $781 billion. Interesting, right? Interesting. So take it, do an exercise for yourself. What would be the cost for? Again, this is not the real sort of say money value, right? This is opportunity cost. Opportunity cost of me reading a privacy policy. If I would have done that at that time, if I would have done something else, what is the value for that? That's the opportunity cost. Right? So that's the cost of reading the privacy policy. What I'm going to recommend, I think last week also I had the activity for you to look at Social Dilemma, the Great Hack documentary. So every week I'm going to get you to do something like that. And again, for the benefit of learning of the content, if you're interested, feel free to do it. It will not be forced. But I think it may be very useful for you to learn from these videos. And I think I will ask some questions from these videos, so you probably want to also take a look at that. Right. So these two videos are, the first one is a TED Talk and the second one is a sort of say documentary about the privacy and data and all of that. So what I would like you to do is take a look at these two videos and in the mailing list answer these questions. What is interesting? What did you learn? What did you not know about? And what would you take care of, right? Which is after seeing these videos, is there anything that you think you will actually change? Even particularly even going through the privacy policies that we did also. Okay, so that's the end of week 2. So what have we done? We did rights to privacy, which is more the definitions of privacy, understanding what privacy is all about, contextual integrity, privacy policies, and cost of reading privacy policies. So this is the summary of week 2. Right to privacy, contextual integrity, privacy policies, and cost of reading privacy policies. So that's the end of week 2. I will see you in week 3.